Do now the 18th Maimer in Maimorim Mulukotim in Cheli Gimel. The Maimer is Vayikra El Moshe Vidaber Hashem Elav Moed Goimer, which the Rebbe said in Shabbos Parshas Vayikra, Gimel ניסן Tei Tovshin Lamed Beis. And they say in the notes over here that later on, this was published in the special booklet in Beis ניסן Tovshin Nun. And it says in the introduction that this was printed for the upcoming second day of ניסן, which was the 70th year to the passing of the Rebbe Rashab. And in honor of that, they gave out this booklet. And this date over there was Rosh Chodesh ניסן, which was on Tuesday, Yom Shuchal Kitov, Parshas Vayikra, in the year Tovshin Nun. All right, so let's do the Maimer inside now. Vayikra El Moshe, he calls to Moshe, Vidaber Hashem Elav Moed. Hashem speaks to Moshe from the Moed, Goimer, and Hashem says, Odom ki yakriv mikem, he starts the portion of the korbanos, a person that offers from you, etc. So we need to understand this, that Hashem called Moshe before Hashem speaks to him, is something which happened by all the time. Whenever we learn in the Torah, it says by Daber Hashem, that Hashem speaks to Moshe, before that he called him. So why is the Vayikra El Moshe recorded in the Torah only by this particular dibur, the speech, when Hashem talks to him about the korbanos? We need to understand Harei l'chol dibros ulchol amiris, whether it says Vaydaber or Vayomer, anytime that Hashem spoke dibur or amira, or it is tzab ulchol tzibuyim, is kodmo kriyo lashon chiba. So there proceeded to be a calling, which is a language of dearness, shows affection. So this was done by all the time. But in the Torah, v'lomo nemra kriya beferish. So why is this calling, this affection brought down beferish explicitly beparshas korbanos dafke, in the portion of the korbanos? We don't find the lashon of Vayikra elsewhere, only by the beginning of the portion of the korbanos. So very simply, one can say, well, this was actually the very first time that Hashem speaks to him from the Oyel Moed. So the Torah at the first time talks about Vayikra, how it took place. It doesn't have to say it later on because it said it once, but still, reason needs the explanation. Why Taka did Hashem start with the parshas of korbanos? It seems like that there is a special significance to that. Simply we can say, why is it only mentioned over here? The Mashakosu Vayikra beparshas korbanos. Why is it written Vayikra in the portion of the korbanos? The reason is because the beginning of this talk from the Oyel Moed was this portion. So it says the first time Vayikra El Moshe, but it doesn't have to repeat it. But this was the first dibur that came from the Oyel Moed. But we need to understand that in itself. Why was the beginning of the dibur of Oyel Moed dafke with the section of the korbanos? From this it appears shehagilui, the Torah, since we started with the portions of korbanos, the revelation of Torah, because we learned Torah from the Oyel in Yonesh Oyel Moed. The Eibishter reveals in the Oyel Moed, speaks to Moshe, revealing to him the Torah. who be iker bedine korbanis. So it's mainly the laws of korbanis. That's why they come first, because that is the revelation of Torah is within the korbanis. V'yesh loymar, and we can say the zehu gam masher sefer vayikra, which is the sefer hakorbanis, as there are quotes from the Ramban, but the Gemara says also about the Gemara about the book of Vayikra, hu hachomur shebisforim, that is the most serious amongst the Sforim, is the sefer of the book of Vayikra. The Gemara over there in Brachas Yud Chesumet Beis teaches the posik of Hu Yorad V'Hika Es Ha'ari, that Tono Sifra Deveirav, Sifra Deveirav, that's the portion of Vayikra. Tosfos explains over there because it's the Chomur Shebesforim. That's why it calls it is equated to the Ari. Ari is a lion. But basically, we see that the Chumash Vayikra is the most difficult of the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. And this is also Mashahu Sefer Hashlishi. It's also the third in order of the 5 Svarim of the Torah, the Heya Svarim Shebet Torah, of the 5 Svarim of the Torah. The Mailas HaTorah Hu Iruyin Uriyont Lisor, the mile of Torah, that it is a Torah that is divided into basically in 3, whether it's Torah Nevi'im Uksuvim, as the Gemara says. So there is the number 3, and this happens to be the third sefer. The Vayikra is the third sefer. Who begilu yoiser b'dina korban is the Torah. So that comes out more revealed. The whole idea of Torah comes out more revealed in the laws of the korbanos of the Torah. That's why there is Vayikra. Zehu gam shezeh shelchol hadibros the Torah kodmo kriya loshon chiba. And this is also why that all sayings of Torah, there was first a call Vayikra in a way of affection, Lashon Chiba. Lemeidim, we learned this from that which is written in the portion of the Korbanos. And why? Because actually it's mainly by Korbanos. And from there we learn out for everywhere else. Kigam, Mailazu the Torah, for also this advantage of Torah, that Torah is the level of chiba that comes from Torah, the Vayikra, Ikra Gilu Shelo B'Dinei Korbanos. The main revelation is the Korbanos, and from there, it's nimshach to all other parts of the Torah by Davar Hashem. Base. Yes, we can explain this based on what the Rebbe Rashab Nishmos Eden written Bal HaHilula, the base ניסן. The ones whose yard site is on base ניסן, b'mamodre dibra maskil Adam ki Yakriv, in his mimer that begins with the words Adam ki Yakriv. The L'chayra, he asked the question there, the L'chayra have a leile meimar. It would seem that the pasuk should have said kisakrivu, when you offer. Why does it have to say Adam ki Yakriv? It says kisakrivu, when you offer. Without mentioning who is the one that brings the offering, that it's Adam. So he brings in the Maimer the Isa bezoyar that we find in the Zoyar. Zakoyin inun Yisrael, that the Jewish people are meritorious, the Kutshabrichu Koron Loin Odom Chulu, that Hashem Kutshabrichu calls them Odom, as it says Odom ki Yakriv Mikem, Odom ki Yakriv Mikem. My time Koru Loin Odom. Why is the reason that he calls them Odom? B'shum diksiv, because the pasuk says, "Va'atem hadvekim ba'avaya elikechem." You are connected to Hashem elikechem. The Yidden are connected to Hashem, and that's the reason they are Odom. They are connected, Adam el Elyon, they are Odom. Bizeh mevayer mashekosuv Odom ki yakriv Odom davke. Why does it say Odom ish ki yakriv? Other name of a person is used davke Odom davke. Ka koyach sheyesh b'Yisrael lahakriv korbonis, the power that exists by Yidden to lahakriv korbonis hu lifi shehem b'chinas Odom, because they are an Odom. Odom means shehem the vukim b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that they are connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that they're connected to Hashem. That's why they're Odom. That's why they can bring the korban. Mamshich ba'maimer shal derech ze iso b'medrash. Continues the maimer. Similarly, it is also, we find in the medrash. Ze sheHaKadosh Baruch Hu tziva es Yisrael lahakriv korbanos. The reason why Hashem commanded the Yidden to bring korbanos, whom ipnei shehem dvukin li, they are connected to me. Hadohu diksiv, it brings down the pasuk. Kasher yidbak ha'oizer el mosneish, like the belt girds, connects to the hips of the man. That is the way that the Yidden are connected with the by bringing the korbanos. That's the way the Yidden who bring the korbanos are connected to Hashem. That there is two levels in connection. There is the Ezer al-Mosnei Ish, which represents the union of the Kelim of Atzilus with the Ein Sof, and there is a higher connection between the Yichud and the Oiris. Be'inyan hadvekas the kelim, and the medrash it discusses with regards to the connection of the kelim. Kelim heim b'chinas mitzius. Kelim are already in the level of an entity. V'hayichud, and the union hadvekas shalem, that they're connected. Eina yichud atzmi. It's not an essence connection. Ukemoi kasha yidbak ha'ezer goimer, just like in the pasuk, just like the belt connects. Sha'ezer hu metzias la'atzmei. The belt is an independent entity. Elo shedovuk la'odom, but that's connected to the person. So that's the medrash. But the bezoyar, when it says the name Odom ki yakriv u'bezoyar v'daber me'inyan hadvekas the oiris. Over there, he talks about the connection of the lights. Hadvekas v'ayichud the oiris, the connecting and the union of the oiris with the Ein Sof yichud atzmi. That's an essence union. L'chein maybe Kosov, that's why he brings the pasuk va'atem hadvekim Hashem elikechem, which that pasuk is connecting the essence with Hashem elikechem, like the yichud of oiris, which is a devekus mamish, which is actually a devekus, not like a separate entity like the Ezer. Gimel. So based on this, we can say Ze shebehascholas sefer hakorbonos ksiv Odom ki yakriv. So why does the opening of the sefer korbonos say Odom ki yakriv? Ze sheYisrael nikra Odom, because the reason why the Yidden are called Odom hu mishum deva'atem hadvekim. It's because of the va'atem hadvekim. That's why they're called the real connection. Shu hadvekas the oiris, that's a connection of the oiris. כי הכוח שיש בישראל להקריב קורבנות, the power that Yidden have to offer these korbanos who be iker is mainly lifi shedveikusam b'hakodesh baruch hu, because the way they are dveikim atam hadveikim, the way they connect to Kodesh Baruch Hu, he bedarges hadveikis da'irus. That's at the level of the way the light, the essence, a union of the essence. It says she is the medrash. So, but in the medrash it says the other pasuk, the dveikus of the kelim. Medrash brings down that korbanos kishura in darges had the dveikus the ezer. That over there it seems that the korbanos are connected with the level of the connection of ezer, which is the kelim of like the belt, which is the level of kelim, which is not such a strong dveikus, like by Odom, like in the Zohar. Yesh loimar, so we can say ki iker hakarbonis hu she'al yodam hu kiyum ha'olam. The main part of the korbanos, the world exists through the korbanos. K'di'is of Yerushalmi, as we find in the Yerushalmi, Allah posik, lintoya shomayim b'lisoid oretz, to plant the sky and to found the earth, ela korbanos. What does it mean that the korbanos plant the shomayim and they found the earth? Because it's through the korbanos, miskaimim chukos shomayim v'oretz. The laws of shomayim v'oretz, the laws of nature of heaven and earth, are sustained through the korbanos. So the korbanos are mainly sustaining the world. Hello. Shakoyach hazeh sheyesh b'korbanos, this power that the korbanos has, hu al yidei shamakriv hakorbanos hu odom shelamayla ma'olam. The one who brings the korbanos is an odom which is higher than world. Through the fact that the makriv is odom, which is higher than world, then it can bring down to the chukos shemayim v'oretz to sustain the shemayim and the oretz. K'di'iso b'zohar, as we find in the Zohar, the ma shekosu odom ki yakriv. The fact that it says odom ki yakriv, the bedaled shebedaled hashemis. Amongst the four names that a person can be called, which is odom, geber, and ish, Shem Odom, the name, the first name, the name Odom, Moira points al Madrega Chiel Yoinam. That points to the highest level. Tiksiv, as it says in the Pasuk, Vayivra Alikim Esa Odom Betzalmei Goimer. Hashem created Odom Betzalmei. So the Tselem of Hashem is the Odom. So that's the highest level. And so why does it say Odom ki yakriv hu lifi di kiyumo the almin iloin v'tatoin, the sustaining of the upper and lower worlds who alidei ar korbanos is through the korbanos. V'lochein gam ba'avidos shel Odom ha'makriv tzorich li shnei inyonim. Also, in the service of the person that brings the korban, need to be these two aspects that we learned before. The dveikus, like the ezer, like it says in the medrash, which is a separate entity, and also the higher level of dveikus, which in the Zohar, which is the level of Odom v'atem hadveikim. The inyan hakorbanos atzmom hu al yidei avodas Odom b'dargas hakelim shaboy. The idea, the korbanos themselves, that's the service of the person in the level of the kelim that's in the person. That's the korbanos davida. The zeh korbanos huim kiyuma da almo. The fact that the korbanos do sustain the worlds, how does it happen? Hu al yidei sheyesh b'hem mikol hasugim daimim tzamei chayim medaber da'olam, by containing all the categories of the world, the inanimate, the daimim, the growing, the tzemeach, the chay, the living, and medaber, and the person that speaks. But hakorbanos atzmom, you have the sacrifice which is brought from the daimim tzemei chai, shemevim daimim tzemei chai, v'odom ha'makrib, that's the odom. So that's the hakrava itself. The hakoyach bekorbanos lekayim ho'olam, but where do the korbanos have the power to sustain the world? Al yidei sha'makrib oisom hu odom. That is because the person who is makrib is an odom, and the odom is shemuvdal me'olam. He is separate from the world. And that is through the service of the person in the level of Oidus. So the person, we have both the level of Oidus and the level of the Kalim. The Kalim is the Korbanos itself that sustain the world, and the Oidus gives Koyach, the Adam, which is higher the world, through the level of Oidus that's within it. Zehu she'inyan Adam ki yakriv, and this is why the Adam ki yakriv is the introduction that Rebbe asked earlier. That's the introduction for Dafke in the Chumash Vayikra by the Parshas HaKorbanos. Zehu she'Adam ki yakriv. That this is specifically in the opening of the book of Korbanos in the book of Vayikra. The Korbanos, and then you have the one that is makriv them. The Korbanos themselves are min habehema v'goymer, from the various different items. The tzameach, the chay, the daimim tzemei chai, shebazen nichlales, and when we say behema, that also includes habehema sheba'odam, the behema that's a person, which is the nefesh habahamis, which is the animal soul. Zen nase, and that is done. How does the nefesh alikis accomplish the korbanos themselves? That's through the ban of the nefesh alikis, the level of ban of the godly soul. The level of ban is ban b'gematria behema. That's the behema within the nefesh alikis. The bechlolus generally hu hanishama k'moshi b'dargas kelim. That is the way the neshama, the soul, is on the level of kelim. The connection of the soul to the Eibishter is like the connection of kelim, like two separate things. That's the ban level of within the nefesh alikis, which is the avodah of the korbanos itself. How does the ban of the nefesh alikis have the ability of the korbanos? Is through the level of ma of the nefesh alikis. The power for this why they bechinas ma the nefesh alikis. The level of ma of nefesh alikis, that's ma big matria odom. That's the level of odom. That's the odom ki yakriv. That's the higher level, the level of the yichud of the nefesh alikis, with in a level of oiris. The bechlolus udargus oiris da neshama. Generally speaking, that is the level of oiris of the neshama. And therefore, ha'pesicha, the sefer ha'korbanos, who odom ki yakriv. So the odom, that's the connection, the level of oir, the connection of the neshama, the power of the ma of the neshama, to bring about the kiyakriv, the actual hakrova takes place to the level of ban of the neshama, the level of kelim of the neshama. Dalet. V'hinei yadua the Torah mitzvahs have dugmas oiros v'kelim. That Torah mitzvahs are similar to oiros v'kelim. Torah is like the oir, and mitzvahs like the kelim. So based on this, we can say the shtei dargis hamnal, ba'adveikus the Yisrael ba'kodesh baruch hu. The two above mentioned levels in the different connection of Yidnu HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the level of Ezer, Atam Adveikin, the level of connection of Eidos, the level of connection of Kelim. Nasim, they become, how do you make that Vegas through the study of Torah and observance of mitzvahs? You have Adveikus the Kelim. Mitzvahs brings you the connection, the Adveikus of Kelim. By day Esak HaTorah, you have Adveikus the Eidah, the connection of the Vedas. Yes, the kasher zem. Based on this, we can also tie it into what we find in Tikkun Zohar. The Tikkun Zohar, it says, you also have, it says that Shegimul HaTfilah is the three davenings, which is Shachris, Mincha, Ba'arvis, and Keneged, they correspond to Aryeh, the lion, the Shoyer, the ox, and Nesher, the eagle. This is the Merkava. And then you have the fourth, the Inyan Odom, Ki Yakriv do Eiraisa. And it says the Odom, that the Odom is the Makriv. So the Hakrova, you have the Aryeh, Shoyer, and Nesher. Those are the level of the actual davening, the level of Mincha, Ma'ariv, Shachrit, Mincha, Ma'ariv. That's the Aryeh, Shoyer, and Nesher. And the Inyan Odom Ki Yakriv do Eiraisa, who begin though, the Tikkun says, because of this, Tikinu B'Tzloisa, they instituted that during the davening, L'mashma Bo Sefer Torah. That's why we lay in the Torah during the davening. L'mehevi Bo Korban Shlim Ba'odom. So there should be a complete korban with the person. So the davenings are Aryeh, Shoyer, and Nesher. In order to also get the level of Odom, we need the level of Torah, because Torah is the level of Odom. So it's HaTorah Odom. The Torah is the level of Odom. So we have the Kriyas HaTorah, we have the Sefer Torah, also during davening, so we have the Torah Sod. So we can say the explanation. The tefillas that correspond to korbanos, who can negate that korbanos atzmam. It's not the person who's makriv the korbanos, but the korbanos that are being nikrav. That's the daim of tzemei chai. The inyan hatfila, the inyan will biru nefesh habahamis al derech hakrov vas hamrehema, because davening accomplishes the sorting out of the nefesh habaham, the animal soul, similar to where you bring a korban on the mizbeach. So the davening, you're bringing a korban, your nefesh habaham, you're sorting out your nefesh habaham. But then you need to have odom ki yakriv, the person that is doing that krova. Odom ki yakriv do iraisa. That's the Torah. Hu hakoyach the Yisrael lahakriv korbanos. That is the power of the Yidden to bring the karbonos, because they're in the level of Odom. So therefore they bring the karbonos. And that's the higher level, the Vekas, the Oiris, Shanasis al Torah. That's the connection, like Oiris, like with the same Etzem, that takes place through occupation of Torah, because Torah makes the connection of Oiris. So based on this, we can explain that the first dibur of the Ma'od was the portion of korbanos. It started off with korbanos first dibur. The Torah who be iker Medina Karbonis, because the revelation of Torah is mainly through the Karbonis. Kinal Sif Aleph. Because the fact that through Karbonis the world is sorted out, also that the world is sustained, that is all from the power of Torah. The Karbonis, the sorting out and the sustaining of the world is Adam, is through Torah Adam Ki Yakriv Doiraisa. And that's why it starts it, because the Adam is the Makriv Karbonis, that's the entire sustaining of the world that comes from the Adam Ki Yakriv, the power of Torah. Yesh L'Kasher Zeim, Yom Hasheni B'Nisan, we can connect it to the second day of Nisan, which is the Hilula of the Rebbe Rashab by Hikriv Nisan ben Tzuar, in which on the second day was Nisan ben Tzuar brought the offering. He was Nisi Yisachar, the leader of Yisachar. So it's all about Torah. Why did he merit to be the one to be offering in the second one for the tribes? The Bnei Yisachar, they were knowledgeable in Torah. So it's the Torah again. So that's associated to the fact of Torah. They gave them the idea to bring this karbonos. So we have both of these things because they learned Torah. Their hisgalus, their eitzah was to bring the karbonos because the karbonos come through Torah. The Yeshloimar. We can say these two aspects are hinged one on another. Because they were knowledgeable in Torah, and the Gilu HaTorah B'Inyan Karbonis, and the revelation of Torah comes through the Karbonis in the world. That's the Adam Ki Yakriv, as we said, and that's the Haskola for which it comes down to sort out and sustain the world. So this not the Karbonis. That's why they gave the advice to bring a gift of the Karbonis.